I want to talk more about regenerative growing methods and to address some of the misconceptions about what it actually is. So, first off, at the very least, it involves putting back more than what you're taking out. But it's much more than that. It's the idea is that you want to leave the land in better shape than how you found it. Yet, beyond all that, it involves healing and regenerating land, the life-giving properties that support efficiency and are self-supporting. Through biodiversity and balance, you emulate and imitate nature. This is often referred to as biomimicry. The goal is to create a balanced ecosystem that works with the four elements so that the land can function as a living organism. This requires being a good facilitator. When I say facilitate, I want to emphasize facilitate and not dominate. You don't want to dominate the cycles, you want to just facilitate them and let them happen organically. This involves all the various different life cycles that take place during the course of your season. It also represents things like the nitrogen cycle, hydrogen cycle, carbon cycle, etc., so on and so forth. So, to encourage and maintain a constant flow of energy, you start by assessing the land, doing an analysis of what the land has going on and what's missing and what are the key components. There's an earlier blog. If you go back in my list of blogs, there's one that goes into great detail about how to assess and analyze the different components of the land. So you can refer to that one. It goes into a lot of detail about how to look at the forest, the woods, the field, the waterways, and so on and so forth. So you look for and create symbiotic relationships. This is how you incorporate agroecology into your operation. So I utilize an integrated system, and I design an integrated system that works with biodynamics, permaculture design, and organic integrated pest management. I use polyculture. I plant in stacked and staggered patterns that are an efficient use of space. I also work with compatible relationships that utilize the 5 components of companion planting. You don't see any of that out here. This is funky out here. It's the fall. Most things are half dead. We haven't any rain in about 4 months. So it's been a very difficult season. I develop fertility and nutrient cycling that involves a good composting program, the use of cover crops, and dynamic accumulators, and also try to develop a good mycorrhizal fungi below the soil. Keep in mind that fertility is never fully achieved. It's an ongoing process. It's a form of growth that is a continuum. You never really get there. It's like education, it's always developing and never finished. So, with that in mind, the other thing I want to talk about is that all land has a carrying capacity. If you take land beyond its if you take it beyond its carrying capacity, you exhaust its space of what it needs to sustain itself. The degradation I often refer to as the 3 Ps. That involves people who create poverty, resulting in pollution. Another example is livestock. I know a lot of people like to utilize and incorporate livestock, and it does have a place in most settings, but the use of livestock is usually overtaxing on the land, as the way most people do it. It's an inefficient use of land in terms of production. You can grow much more vegetables, fruit, and grains on a piece of land than you ever can produce with livestock, because plants are the most efficient life source we have. A grower is a producer. Many people get into this and they continue to function more in the mindset of being a consumer. And that's how most people are conditioned. It works very well in a capitalistic system. It's important to get away from the idea of buying soil, fertilizer, compost, potting soil, or the latest gadgets, or often even a tractor, because this puts you again in the idea of, well, we make a joke about how to farm like a millionaire, but anyway, being a producer is challenging. It challenges you to produce with and what's on the land. Being truly sustainable involves things like saving your own seeds and going full circle, and the use of appropriate technology that allows us to use the land to operate efficiently and sustainably. So being a good caretaker of the land requires the intrinsic value of nature. With the forces of nature, you coexist. Nature is a great teacher, so it's important to be observant. An example of that is serious insect and disease problems are usually indicators of an imbalance. What goes on above the ground is a reflection of the life underground. The economy of soil is based on holistic and synergistic interactions that the results are greater than the sum of each separate results. It's like a garden underneath your garden. It's encouraged by diversity, and that diversity favors balance, and that balance supports resilience. Resilience is the key to a healthy environment. So the words humility, humane, and humus all come from the same Latin roots. So do we lose our humility when we lose contact with the soil? Soil is the outer connection from which our life comes. Soul is the inner connection with life. As we take care of the soil, we take care of our soul. The garden is a series of microcosms that make up a macrocosm. As this balanced ecosystem functions, we become part of the environment around us, and we become part of the living organism. The wonders of a garden are manifested by your imagination, creativity, and consciousness. The care we put into the land is often a reflection of the love we have for ourselves. It's important to be open to the process, that as we transform the land, it also transforms us, as we become part of our surroundings and find our role in the cycle of life. So thank you for listening. There's a lot more information. I go into a lot more detail in my book, Radical Regenerative Gardening and Farming. And thank you.